There comes a moment in life when something stirs deep inside you, so subtle, so quiet, that at first, you might almost miss it. It isn't a voice you hear with your ears, but rather a feeling that rises from within your chest, like a soft vibration, like a memory you can't quite place. It's as if life itself is whispering, "Wake up, there's more to you than you've been told." For many years, you may have lived believing you are only this body, only this mind, only this name. You wake up, you go through the motions, you play the roles that society has handed to you. And yet, beneath all the routines and expectations, there's a quiet knowing that you are so much more. That knowing is what I call the inner calling. It doesn't arrive with fireworks or grand announcements. It often comes in the stillness, in those late-night moments when the world is silent, or when you find yourself staring at the stars, feeling a longing you can't explain. It comes when the old ways of living no longer fit, like clothes that have become too tight. It's a restlessness that isn't about chasing more, but about remembering something ancient and eternal within you. Some people mistake this feeling as confusion, as if they're lost or broken, but you are not lost. You've never been lost. What's really happening is that the part of you that has been asleep is beginning to wake up. Imagine a seed beneath the soil. For a long time, it's in darkness, unseen, silent. And then one day, without warning, it begins to crack open, reaching for the light. That's what's happening to you. The cracking open may feel uncomfortable, even painful at times. But it's not the end. It's the beginning. We call this process awakening. It's not about becoming someone new, as if you have to fix yourself or prove yourself worthy. It's about returning to who you've always been before fear, before conditioning, before the world told you who you should be. Think of it as peeling away layers of stories and expectations until what's left is the pure, radiant essence of you. And this awakening is no accident. It's not random. It's a sacred appointment that your soul made long before you were born. You chose to be here, on this earth. At this very moment in history, you chose to experience forgetting so that you could experience remembering. You chose to step into the density of this human life so that you could rise, and through your rising, bring light to others. When you feel that quiet inner call, you might also feel fear. That's natural. The mind wants to cling to what is familiar, even when it no longer serves you. But I invite you to pause, to take a breath, and to simply listen. You don't have to figure everything out right now. You don't have to have a plan or a map. Just be willing to hear the whisper, to feel the tug in your heart, and to trust that something far greater than your mind is guiding you. The universe speaks in symbols, in synchronicities, in the subtle nudges that appear when you least expect them. A stranger says exactly what you needed to hear. A door closes, and another opens. A song plays at just the right moment, and tears well up in your eyes, because you know it's a sign. These are not coincidences. They are the language of a higher intelligence, gently guiding you back to yourself. Right now, as you watch this, you are not here by chance. Something within you led you to this moment. This message, this reminder, the universe has been whispering your name. And today, you heard it clearly enough to pause and listen. So, I ask you to take a deep breath. Let it fill your chest. Let it flow through your body like a river, finally moving freely again. And as you exhale, imagine releasing all the stories that have weighed you down. The doubts, the fears, the old identities that no longer fit. This is the turning point. This is the moment where you stop trying to become someone else and begin to remember who you truly are. The universe is not somewhere out there. It lives within you, and it has been patiently waiting for you to return home. Close your eyes for just a moment and hear the whisper, it's time. Wake up. Remember who you really are. And when you open them again, See the world not as a place you must fight or conquer, but as a vast, living mirror, reflecting the light you have carried all along. 1. The difference between linear thinking and universal intelligence. For most of our lives, we've been taught to see life as a straight line. You're born, you grow up, you work hard, you climb the ladder, and hopefully, you reach the top before time runs out. This is the story society hands us life as a series of steps, each one requiring more effort, more sacrifice, more control. It's a path where we're constantly pushing forward, believing that if we just plan carefully enough, fight hard enough, we'll finally arrive at happiness. But if you've ever lived long enough, really lived, you start to see the cracks in that story. You start to notice that life doesn't always obey our plans. Sometimes, no matter how hard you push, things don't move. And other times, when you least expect it, a door swings wide open without you even knocking. It's in those moments that you begin to sense there's something larger at play, something beyond our linear way of thinking. You realize life isn't just a straight road that you must march down with gritted teeth. It's more like a river with twists and turns, sometimes flowing fast, sometimes barely moving, but always carrying you somewhere meaningful. Even when you can't see what's around the bend, the universe doesn't move in straight lines. It moves in patterns, in frequencies, in resonance. Imagine a symphony being played by an invisible conductor. You can't see the hands waving, but you can feel the rhythm, the harmony, the way one note blends into the next. That's how life truly works. There's a hidden order, a subtle intelligence, orchestrating everything. What we call coincidence or luck is often just the universe quietly arranging the pieces on our behalf. Think about the times you've met someone who completely changed your life, maybe a friend, a partner, a teacher, and how it all seemed to happen by accident. You were at the right place, at the right time, even though you couldn't have planned it. That's not randomness. That's resonance. That's universal intelligence weaving its threads together in ways our minds can't fully comprehend. The trouble is, our minds are addicted to control. We cling to our plans, our timelines, our definitions of success. We measure progress with clocks and calendars, as if life were a race we have to win. And when things don't happen the way we expected, we think we've failed. Or worse, that the universe is punishing us. But what if the delays, the detours, the closed doors were not punishment at all? What if they were perfect timing, guiding you towards something far greater than you could have imagined? A farmer doesn't scream at a seed to grow faster. He trusts the seasons. He knows there is a natural rhythm to growth, a time to plant, a time to wait, and a time to harvest. In the same way, your life has seasons. There are moments meant for action and moments meant for stillness. When you fight against this natural rhythm, you exhaust yourself. It's like swimming upstream against a powerful current. The harder you fight, the more tired you become. But when you trust the current, when you allow yourself to flow, you discover that life has been carrying you all along. I've learned this lesson the hard way. There were times I pushed so hard for something, only to watch it slip through my fingers. Back then, I thought it was failure. Now I see it was grace. The universe was redirecting me, keeping me from settling for something too small, too limiting. At the time, it felt like loss. But now I see it was love, a higher form of love than my mind could recognize. When you stop forcing and start listening, everything changes. You begin to notice the subtle signs, the way certain opportunities feel alive and expansive, while others feel heavy and constricting. You begin to trust your inner knowing, rather than the external noise. You realize that every event, every person, every twist and turn has its place in the grand design. Life is not a straight road to be conquered. It is a living symphony, And you are both the instrument and the music itself. When you align with that deeper intelligence, when you let go of the need to control every note you discover, a kind of peace that no external achievement can give you, the universe has always been speaking to you. The question is, are you willing to be quiet enough to hear its song? When you finally do, you'll see that nothing was ever random. It was always leading you home. 2. The silence of the universe, a sign of preparation. There are moments in life when everything seems to come to a standstill. The plans you've made don't move forward. The doors you've been knocking on stay shut. And even your inner drive feels like it's fading. It's as if life itself has pressed the pause button, leaving you in a quiet, unsettling stillness. At first, this silence can feel unbearable. We live in a world that worships movement, progress, and productivity. From the moment we wake up, we're bombarded with the idea that if we're not constantly doing, achieving, or proving, then something must be wrong. So when life slows to a halt, the mind begins to panic. It whispers, maybe I'm failing, maybe I'm falling behind, maybe I've lost my way. But what if this stillness isn't failure at all? What if it's not a sign that life has abandoned you, but rather that something profound is happening beneath the surface, something your mind simply can't see yet? Imagine a skilled musician preparing for a concert. Before a single note is played, they take time to tune their instrument, carefully adjusting each string, each key, until everything resonates in perfect harmony. From the outside, this can seem like nothing is happening. There's no music, no applause, just quiet concentration. And yet, this tuning is essential. Without it, the performance would be chaos. In the same way, when your life feels silent and still, it may be because the universe is tuning you, your energy, your heart, your very being for the next movement of your life symphony. You are being prepared, refined, aligned with what's to come. The stillness you feel is not emptiness. It is sacred preparation. This kind of preparation often requires letting go of old patterns that no longer serve you. It may feel like parts of your life are falling apart, but in truth, they are being gently dismantled to make space for something new. The relationships that fade, the opportunities that don't work out, the paths that close, these aren't punishments. They are part of the tuning process. Just as a gardener clears away dead leaves to make room for new growth, the universe clears away what cannot grow with you. This clearing can feel lonely, even painful. It can feel like nothing is moving because the change is happening beneath the surface, in places you cannot yet see. Think of a seed buried deep in the soil. For a long time, there's no visible sign of life. If you were to look only at the surface, you might think nothing was happening at all. But beneath the ground, in the hidden darkness, the seed is breaking open. Roots are stretching, and a new life is forming. Then one day, almost suddenly, a tiny green shoot emerges, a sign that all the quiet work was worth it. Your own life works the same way. The quiet, still moments are when the roots of your future are taking hold. The silence is not a void. It is creation in its most mysterious form. I know how easy it is to mistake stillness for stagnation. I've been there. There were times when I begged for answers, for movement, for anything to prove that I wasn't stuck. I pushed, I planned, I tried to force things to happen. And yet, the more I fought the silence, the more lost I felt. It was only when I finally surrendered, when I stopped struggling against the quiet, that I began to see its purpose. Looking back now, I realize those silent seasons were some of the most important times of my life. They were not wasted. They were not delays. They were like a deep breath before a leap, like the stillness before dawn. Without those pauses, I wouldn't have been ready for what came next. So if you find yourself in that quiet place now, take heart. You are not broken. You are not forgotten. You are being tuned, prepared, and aligned for a new chapter, one far greater than anything you can imagine. Don't rush the silence. Sit with it. Listen to it. Trust that beneath the stillness, life is moving in ways you cannot yet see. Because one day, when the timing is perfect, the music will begin again, and you'll understand why the quiet was necessary all along. 3. Co-creating reality. You are the one who chooses the timeline. There comes a point on this journey where you begin to see something extraordinary, a truth both humbling and empowering. You are not just a passive observer, standing on the sidelines while life happens to you. You are a participant, a co-creator, an active thread in the tapestry of existence. For so long, many of us were taught to believe we are powerless. We were told that life is a series of random events, that we must simply endure whatever comes our way. But when you start to awaken, when you begin to truly pay attention, you realize that every thought you think, every emotion you hold, every small choice you make, sends ripples out into the universe. Think of it like dropping a pebble into a still pond. At first, it seems so small, so insignificant, but the ripples spread far beyond the point of impact, touching the surface in ways you cannot always see. Your inner world, your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs works the same way. What you carry inside radiates outward, shaping the experiences and opportunities that come into your life. This is not about blame or guilt. It's not about saying you caused every challenge or hardship you faced. Life is complex, and there are countless forces at play, but you do have the power to choose how you meet those moments. And that choice matters more than most of us realize. Imagine two paths stretching out before you. One is built on fear, fear of loss, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. When you walk that path, everything feels heavy. Your steps are cautious, your heart guarded. Even when good things come your way, they feel fragile, as if they could vanish at any moment. It's a path of survival, of contraction, of holding back. The other path is built on love, not a romantic love, Buddha-deeper, steady love for life itself. It's the love that allows you to breathe deeply and trust, even when you don't have all the answers. When you walk this path, you feel open, expansive. You begin to see possibilities you couldn't see before. Your choices come from a place of courage rather than fear. And because of that, your entire reality begins to shift. This is what it means to co-create. Every moment, you are choosing which path to feed with your attention and your energy. Even the smallest decision, how you respond to a difficult conversation, where you direct your focus when you wake up in the morning, has the power to move you toward one timeline or another. It's like standing at the center of a vast web, with countless threads stretching out into infinity. Each thread represents a different version of your future. Some are filled with struggle and limitation, others with growth and joy. The thread you step onto isn't chosen for you. You choose it through your vibration, through the energy you bring to this moment. I've seen this in my own life. There were times when I lived entirely in fear, clinging to control, convinced that the world was against me. And in that state, everything seemed to confirm my belief. Problems multiplied, relationships felt strained, and my days were filled with tension. But when I began to soften, to let go of the tight grip I had on life, something remarkable happened. The external world started to shift. Opportunities appeared. Conversations unfolded with surprising ease. It felt almost like magic, but it wasn't magic. It was alignment. When you choose love instead of fear, expansion instead of contraction, you activate a different timeline. One where life flows rather than fights you. One where you notice synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that feel too perfect to be random. This isn't about denying pain or pretending everything is perfect. It's about bringing awareness to the energy you are contributing. Moment by moment, you are not at the mercy of fate. You are the architect of your destiny, not by force, not by rigid control, but by consciously choosing the quality of your presence in each moment. So today, take a breath and notice where your heart is leaning. Ask yourself, am I choosing from fear, or am I choosing from love? And remember, each choice, no matter how small, is a step onto a new thread of possibility. Over time, those steps create a path, and that path becomes your life. The universe is always ready to meet you halfway, but it waits for your signal, for your intention, for your willingness to walk the path of love. When you do, you'll see that reality isn't something happening to you. It's something happening through you. And with you, becoming a source of energy, beyond doing, into being. There comes a moment on this path when the striving begins to fade. It doesn't happen overnight. At first, you may still feel that old pull to prove yourself, to be seen, to justify your worth through action and achievement. But slowly, as you walk deeper into your awakening, you realize something profound. You don't need to fight for your place in this world. You already belong. When I was younger, I believed my value was measured by what I accomplished. The hours I worked, the goals I hit, the image I projected, all of it felt like a performance I had to keep up just to be loved or respected. And for a while, it worked. People admired my success, my resilience, my endless drive. But inside, I was exhausted. There was always another mountain to climb, another battle to win. No matter how much I achieved, it never felt like enough. One day, everything stopped, not because I reached some great pinnacle, but because my body and soul simply refused to go on that way. In the quiet that followed, I began to notice something I had missed for years. My true power didn't come from what I did. It came from who I was. At higher stages of growth, you start to see that life is not about constantly doing more or becoming more. It's about allowing yourself to simply be fully, authentically, unapologetically. This isn't passivity. It's the deepest form of presence. Think of a candle in a dark room. The candle doesn't have to shout or run around to prove it's shining. It simply stands still, and its light naturally fills the space, offering warmth and clarity to anyone who enters. Your presence works the same way. When you stop scrambling to prove yourself, you become like that candle, a quiet, steady source of light for others. This shift from doing to being is subtle but powerful. People may not understand why, but they can feel it when they're near you. They sense a calmness, a strength, a depth that words cannot capture. In a world obsessed with noise and speed, your stillness becomes a rare and healing force. I've experienced this firsthand. There have been moments when someone walked into a room and, without saying a word, completely changed the atmosphere. It wasn't their title, their achievements, or their appearance that made the impact. It was something unseen, an energy that spoke louder than any speech could sing. Being in their presence felt like standing in sunlight after a long winter. You have that same potential within you. The more you align with your authentic self, the more your energy naturally radiates outward. You don't need to convince anyone of anything. You don't need to argue or prove your worth. Your very being becomes the message. This doesn't mean you'll never take action again. Of course, action is part of life, but your actions will no longer come from a place of desperation or fear. They will flow naturally, like a river that doesn't strain to move forward. Your words will carry weight not because they are loud or clever, but because they rise from a deep, quiet truth within you. As you become a source of living energy, you also begin to notice how others respond. Some will feel drawn to you without knowing why. They may feel safe in your presence, as if something inside them has finally been allowed to rest. Others may feel challenged, even unsettled, because your calm presence reflects back to them the chaos they've been avoiding. Either way, Your role is not to fix or control anyone. Your role is simply to hold your light steady. When you reach this stage, life becomes less about outcomes and more about alignment. You stop chasing recognition because you understand that the recognition you once sought was never outside of you. It was always about coming home to yourself. And here's the beautiful thing when you live this way. You give others silent permission to do the same. Your presence whispers. You don't have to fight so hard. You don't have to wear a mask. You are already enough. This is the quiet revolution. It doesn't happen through grand speeches or dramatic gestures, but through the steady, radiant being of those who have learned to rest in themselves. When you embody this truth, you become like a lighthouse guiding others not by force, but simply by shining. And that is how real change begins, not with what you do, but with who you are. 5. The meaning of hardship and challenge. There are seasons in life when the path ahead feels dark and uncertain. Times when no matter which way you turn, you seem to meet a wall. You feel stuck, delayed, or completely lost, as if life itself has turned against you. It's a heavy feeling, one that can sink deep into your bones and whisper, maybe I'm not meant for this. Maybe I've been abandoned. I know that place well. I've walked through it more times than I can count. And for many years, I believed those hardships were a punishment, proof that I wasn't enough, that I had somehow failed, that life was hard because I didn't deserve ease. But over time, something inside me began to shift, and what I discovered changed everything. Challenges are not here to punish you. They are here to shape you. Imagine a piece of coal buried deep underground. On its own, it is unremarkable, dark, rough, easily overlooked, but under immense pressure, over long stretches of time, that coal is transformed into a diamond. The pressure isn't cruelty, it's a necessary force that brings out the brilliance hidden within. Your life works the same way. The struggles you face, the heartbreaks you endure, the losses that seem impossible to bear, they are all part of that process of transformation. It's not that life enjoys seeing you suffer, it's that life sees the diamond inside you. When we are in the middle of pain, it's hard to see this. All we feel is the weight, the confusion, the fear. We ask questions like, why me? Why now? Why does this keep happening? And those questions are human. They are natural. But if you listen closely, beneath the noise of the mind, there is another voice, softer, wiser, infinitely patient. That voice says, this is not against you. This is for you. Every tear you've cried, every joy you've felt, every heartbreak that split you open, they are all threads woven into the fabric of who you are today. Without them, you wouldn't have the depth, the compassion, the strength that you now carry. Think about the most meaningful people in your life, the ones who radiate wisdom and kindness. I would bet they didn't get there by gliding through a perfect, painless existence. They got there by falling, by breaking, by rising again and again. Their light shines so brightly because they've been through the dark and found their way back. It's easy to love life when things are going well. The real growth happens when you can love it, or at least trust it when everything is falling apart. This doesn't mean pretending to be happy when you're hurting. It means holding on to the quiet belief that even in your suffering, there is purpose. There was a time in my life when everything I had built came crashing down. At the time, it felt like pure destruction, the end of everything I had worked for. But looking back now, I see how necessary it was. That ending cleared the space for something truer, something more aligned with who I really am. Without that loss, I would still be clinging to a life that didn't fit me. The universe is not cruel. It is precise. It knows what needs to be released, even when we fight to hold on. And while it may hurt sometimes deeply, that release is always an act of love, a love so vast and intelligent that our minds cannot fully grasp it. When you find yourself in hardship, I invite you to soften, not to give up. but to let go of the story that says life is against you. Instead, whisper to yourself, maybe this is happening for me. Maybe this is shaping me into someone I cannot yet see. Those words alone can change the way you carry your pain. Over time, as you walk through the fire, you begin to see its gifts. The same challenges that once broke you open become the very source of your wisdom. The scars you carry become maps, guiding others who are lost. And you begin to realize that none of it was wasted, not a single tear, not a single moment. Life is not here to crush you. It is here to reveal you, to carve away everything that is not truly you until what remains is strong, clear, and shining like a diamond. So trust this. Everything that happens is part of your becoming. Not one thing has ever been truly against you. It has all been for you every step, every fall, every rise. Even now, in ways you may not yet understand, life is shaping you into the person you were always meant to be. 6. The unraveling stage, releasing the old bindings. Before any true rebirth, there must first be a letting go. We often dream about stepping into a new life, about becoming a freer, wiser, more authentic version of ourselves. But what we rarely realize is that this transformation doesn't begin with adding more. It begins with releasing. Imagine wearing a coat that once kept you warm, but now it's far too tight and heavy. At first, you tolerate it. You tell yourself, this is just how it is. I should be grateful I have something to wear. But deep down, there's a growing discomfort. You start to feel suffocated. Eventually, the day comes when you must take it off, not because the coat was bad, but because you've simply outgrown it. This is what the unraveling stage feels like. The coat you are shedding isn't made of fabric. It's made of old beliefs, fears, expectations, and inherited patterns that have been passed down through families and cultures for generations. It's made of stories you've been told about who you are, what you can and cannot do, and how the world works. Some of these stories may have once protected you, but now they are too small for the person you are becoming. This stage of life can feel deeply unsettling. You may feel lost, confused, or even like everything is falling apart. The relationships that once felt secure may begin to shift. The job you thought you wanted no longer excites you. Habits and roles that once defined you start to feel like chains instead of anchors. It's natural to panic in these moments. Your mind may scream, something's wrong, I need to fix this. But here's the truth, nothing is wrong. What you are experiencing is not a collapse, it's a liberation. The structures that no longer serve your growth are breaking down so that new ones can be built. Think of a caterpillar inside a cocoon. From the outside, it may look like nothing is happening, or worse, like something is dying. But within that stillness, a radical transformation is taking place. The caterpillar isn't being destroyed, it's dissolving into pure potential, preparing to emerge as a butterfly. In the same way, your old identity is dissolving, so that your truer self can come forward. I remember a time in my own life when I felt completely directionless. Everything I thought was stable seemed to slip through my fingers. Back then, I thought it was the end of my plans, my dreams, maybe even my purpose. But looking back now, I see it was the beginning. The confusion wasn't a sign that I was lost. It was proof that I was leaving the confines of the old and stepping into a wider, truer space. In this unraveling stage, emotions often rise to the surface: grief, anger, fear, and even relief. It can feel like waves crashing over you, pulling you under one moment and lifting you up the next. Allow these feelings to come. They are not here to harm you. They are here to help you release what no longer belongs to you. Each tear, each deep sigh, each moment of raw honesty is part of the shedding process. As you move through this stage, you might notice a strange paradox. Part of you longs for freedom, while another part clings desperately to the familiar. This is normal. The human mind loves what is known, even when it's painful. It will try to convince you to stay in old patterns, because at least they feel safe. But your soul knows better. It knows that comfort is not the same as growth. It knows that to step into your fullest life, you must first loosen your grip on what has been. The unraveling is not about abandoning everything or everyone. It's about discerning what truly resonates with who you are becoming. Some things will naturally fall away, like leaves dropping from a tree in autumn. Others may transform and grow alongside you. The key is to trust the process, to allow the old to leave without forcing or rushing, and to let the new arrive in its own time. When you feel lost or disoriented, remember, this being in between worlds is a sacred place. It means you are no longer who you were, but not yet who you are becoming. It's uncomfortable, yes, but it's also holy. It's the space where miracles are quietly forming. One day, you'll look back and realize that the unraveling was not the end of your story. It was the moment you began to truly write it for yourself. You'll see that what felt like falling apart was really you, breaking free, leaving behind the old bindings, so you could finally step into the life that was always waiting for you. 7. The awakening of cosmic memory within you. There are moments in life that stop you in your tracks small. Fleeting moments when something deep inside you stirs. Perhaps it happens when you meet someone for the very first time, yet you feel as if you've known them forever. Or when you stand beneath a vast night sky, looking at the stars, and a strange longing fills your chest, a yearning so ancient and familiar, it brings tears to your eyes. Maybe it happens during meditation or a quiet walk in nature, when images, symbols, or words appear in your mind that you've never consciously learned, and yet they feel like truth you've carried all along. These moments can be disorienting. The rational mind wants to dismiss them as imagination, coincidence, or wishful thinking. It whispers, "That doesn't make sense. You're making it up." But there's another voice quieter, wiser, older than time that says, "Pay attention. This is not random. This is remembrance." You see, there is a part of you that has never been lost, never been broken, never been separate from the vastness of creation. This part of you carries memories far beyond this lifetime, memories embedded in your very cells, woven into the strands of your DNA. Science has begun to hint at this truth, showing how information is passed down through generations. But the wisdom traditions have known it for millennia. We are not blank slates when we are born. We arrive carrying the imprints of countless experiences, lifetimes, and connections to realms far beyond what the eye can see. When these deeper layers begin to awaken, it can feel strange at first. It's like walking into a house you've never visited before, only to find that you instinctively know where everything is. You know the layout, the scent, even the way the light falls through the windows. This is what déjà vu really is, not a glitch, but a glimpse into the vast library of your soul. Sometimes, this awakening comes through subtle nudges, a symbol you've never seen before that suddenly feels deeply significant. A dream so vivid, it lingers long after you've woken, or a sudden knowing about a person or situation that you couldn't possibly explain logically. These are all ways your cosmic memory speaks to you. They are reminders that you are far more than this body, this name, this single lifetime. For a long time, you may have felt like an outsider in this world. Maybe you've carried a quiet itch, a feeling that you don't fully belong here. Perhaps you've struggled to fit into systems and expectations that never felt right in your heart. This sense of displacement can be painful. It can make you feel as though something is wrong with you. But the truth is far more beautiful. You felt out of place, because part of you remembers somewhere far greater, somewhere freer, somewhere filled with a love so vast it defies words. You are not lost. You are simply on the journey of return. Each moment of awakening, each fragment of memory that surfaces is a breadcrumb, guiding you back home, not to a physical location, but to a state of being. Home is not out there among the stars. Home is the truth of who you are, the infinite self that has been here all along, patiently waiting for you to remember. When I first began to experience these awakenings, I was afraid. I thought I was losing my grip on reality. But as I learned to sit with the feelings instead of running from them, I realized something profound. The memories weren't here to confuse me. They were here to heal me. They were here to remind me that my life has meaning beyond what I can see, and that every connection, every challenge, every moment is part of a much larger story. The awakening of cosmic memory isn't dramatic or loud. It doesn't demand that you abandon your human life. Instead, it weaves through your days gently, like a soft thread of gold, running through the fabric of ordinary moments. A glance, a song, a sentence overheard. At the perfect time, these are the ways your higher self whispers. You are more than you think. You have always been more. And with each whisper, the loneliness begins to fade. The ache of not belonging softens, because you realize you were never truly alone. You've been surrounded by unseen allies, by lifetimes of wisdom, by the quiet love of the universe itself. You are not wandering aimlessly through a strange world. You are walking the path home, step by step, memory by memory. And as your cosmic memory awakens, you will see that this journey has always been guided not by chance, but by the deepest truth of who you are. You are not just remembering the stars. You are remembering yourself. And in that remembering, you finally find the place where you belong. 8. Creating inner space. The quiet gateway. In a world that never stops talking, silence has become a rare treasure. Everywhere you turn, there are voices competing for your attention. Notifications, pinging, headlines screaming, people rushing, and 1,000 unspoken expectations pressing on your shoulders. It's so easy to get swept into the noise, to mistake the constant motion for meaning, to think that if you just keep moving, you'll eventually find peace. But true peace doesn't come from more doing. It doesn't come from fixing everything outside of you. It comes from creating space inside of you, a space where the noise falls away and something deeper can finally be heard. I learned this lesson during one of the most difficult seasons of my life. Back then, I thought the answer to my pain was to run faster, work harder, distract myself, so I wouldn't have to feel. But no matter how hard I tried, the ache remained. It wasn't until I finally stopped, really stopped, that I began to understand. In the stillness, I discovered that the thing I'd been avoiding wasn't my enemy. It was my own truth, waiting patiently beneath all the clutter. Creating inner space is like clearing out a room that's been neglected for years. At first, it feels overwhelming. There's dust everywhere, piles of old memories, emotions you've stored away because you didn't know how to face them. Your instinct might be to shut the door and walk away. But if you're willing to begin even slowly, even imperfectly, you'll find that underneath the mess lies something precious: clarity, lightness, freedom. This inner clearing can take many forms. For some, it might mean sitting quietly in meditation, simply breathing and watching thoughts come and go like clouds drifting across the sky. For others, it might mean writing in a journal, pouring your heart onto the page so the weight inside you has somewhere to go. It might even mean taking a walk alone in nature, letting the rhythm of your steps and the sounds of the earth guide you back to yourself. The practice itself matters less than the intention behind it. What matters is that you carve out moments of true stillness, moments when you are not consuming, reacting, or performing, moments when you are simply being. At first, this can feel uncomfortable. When you sit in silence, all the things you've been avoiding tend to rise to the surface. Old wounds, painful memories, anxieties you've tried to bury. they may all come rushing forward. This is why so many of us stay busy, because facing ourselves can be terrifying. But here's the paradox. What we fear the most is often what needs our love the most. By giving these parts of yourself space to be seen and felt, you begin to heal them. Think of it like sunlight streaming into a darkened room. The light doesn't fight the darkness. It doesn't argue or force it away. It simply shines, and in its presence, the darkness naturally dissolves. Your awareness works the same way. When you turn toward what hurts with gentle presence, without judgment, healing begins to happen naturally, and something else beautiful occurs in this inner space. You become receptive. When your mind is crowded with noise and constant striving, it's hard to hear anything beyond your own thoughts. But when you slow down, when you create space, you open a doorway for the subtle guidance of life to reach you. This guidance doesn't always come as a dramatic revelation. Sometimes it's just a quiet knowing, a soft nudge, a feeling that says, "This way." In my own life, the most profound insights have never come during moments of chaos. They've come in the quiet, often when I least expected them. A solution to a problem would arrive like a whisper. A sense of peace would settle over me for no reason at all. It felt like grace, like something beyond my own effort had finally been allowed to move through me. Creating inner space isn't about escaping the world. It's about learning to carry a sanctuary within you. No matter where you are or what's happening around you, when you tend to this inner room, you bring a calm, grounded presence into every situation. And from that place, even the busiest, noisiest world cannot shake your center. So take a breath. Take a moment today to step back, to be still, to listen. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be long. Even a few minutes of genuine silence can begin to change everything. Because when you create space within, you make room for the sacred to enter your life, not as something distant or unreachable, but as something that has been waiting inside you all along. And in that space, you'll discover that the magic you've been seeking was never outside of you. It was always here, quietly shining, ready to guide you home. 9. The bridge between the physical and the spiritual. There's a common misunderstanding on the spiritual path. The idea that awakening means leaving the world behind, escaping the noise, the mess, and the pain of this human life. For a long time, I believed this too. I thought enlightenment was about transcending the ordinary, floating above it all, untouched by the struggles of being human. But the deeper I walked into my journey, the more I realized something simple yet profound. You are not here to abandon the earth. You are here to bring light to it. The physical world, your body, your relationships. Your daily responsibilities isn't a distraction from your spiritual growth. It is the very ground on which your growth unfolds. Every thought you think, every word you speak, every small choice you make becomes a bridge between two realms, the unseen world of spirit and the tangible world of form. You are the meeting point of heaven and earth. Whether you realize it or not, I used to think I had to separate my spiritual life from my everyday life. Meditation belonged to one part of the day, and bills, chores, conversations, and challenges belonged to another. It was like living in two different realities. But what I've come to see is that there's no real separation, only the illusion of it. The sacred isn't limited to a quiet room with incense and candles. The sacred can be found in the way you wash the dishes, in the way you listen to someone's story, in the way you breathe when you're stuck in traffic. It's not about escaping the ordinary. It's about bringing presence to it. Think of a bridge stretching across a river. On one side is the spiritual realm, vast, infinite, filled with pure potential. On the other side is the physical world, grounded, tangible, full of challenges and beauty alike. Your role is to stand on that bridge and let energy flow in both directions. When you bring compassion, mindfulness, and love into your thoughts and actions, You allow the spiritual to take form in the physical. And when you fully experience the physical, its textures, its emotions, its lessons with open awareness, you send that richness back to spirit. You complete the circle. This is why you don't need to run from your life or wait for some perfect moment to be spiritual. You don't have to move to a monastery or hide from the world to live in alignment. The real practice happens right where you are in the conversations you have. The food you cook, the way you show up for the people you love. Every moment is an opportunity to weave light into the fabric of the world. There was a time when I wanted to leave it all behind to escape the noise and confusion and find peace somewhere far away. But no matter where I went, I carried my own mind and heart with me. It was only when I stopped running and started seeing my life as the temple itself that everything began to shift. I realized that I wasn't meant to hide my light from the world. I was meant to bring it into the world. This doesn't mean life will suddenly become easy or perfect. There will still be bills to pay, losses to grieve, and moments of deep frustration. But when you hold these experiences with awareness, when you treat even the mundane as sacred, something remarkable happens. The earth begins to reflect the heaven within you. Imagine pausing before a difficult conversation to take one conscious breath. In that moment, you are bridging two worlds, bringing clarity and compassion into a space that might otherwise be filled with anger or misunderstanding. Or picture yourself sitting quietly at the end of a long day, simply feeling grateful for the roof over your head and the body that carried you through. These small, invisible moments ripple outward, changing not only you but the world around you. We often wait for miracles to come from somewhere far away, but the truth is, you are the miracle. The way you show up, the energy you bring, the choices you make, these are the miracles the earth is waiting for. When you begin to live this way, you see that heaven was never separate from earth. It was always meant to be expressed through you. So don't seek to escape your life. Bring light into it. Let your presence be the bridge that connects the seen and unseen, the ordinary and the divine. When you walk through the world this way, you don't just transform yourself, you transform the very ground you walk on. And slowly, moment by moment, this planet begins to reflect the beauty and harmony of the higher realms. The truth is simple. You are not here to leave the world behind. You are here to infuse it with the love and wisdom you carry within you. And when you do, you'll see that this earth was never meant to be separate from heaven. It was meant to become heaven. One conscious breath, one sacred choice at a time. Surrender and absolute trust. There comes a point in life when you finally look back and see how every step, every twist, and every stumble was part of a larger design. In the moment, it rarely feels that way. When you're lost in pain or confusion, it's hard to believe there could be any purpose behind the chaos. But when you take a deep breath and reflect, you begin to notice a quiet, invisible thread, weaving everything together, guiding you, shaping you, preparing you in ways you couldn't have understood at the time. You have never truly been off the path. Even the detours, even the heartbreaks, even the nights when you thought you couldn't go on, they were all part of the perfect architecture of your journey. The universe has been holding you all along, even when you didn't feel it, even when you doubted it. I've been through those dark nights myself. I've wrestled with the fear that I'd made the wrong choices, that I'd wasted too much time, that I'd somehow missed my chance. But looking back now, I see that every moment, even the painful ones, was essential. The very experiences I once wished I could erase turned out to be the ones that opened my heart the widest and taught me to trust the deepest. Surrender isn't about giving up or being passive. It's about releasing the illusion that you have to control every detail of life. It's about allowing yourself to rest in something much bigger than your own plans or timelines. Think of a dancer moving with a partner. When one partner tries to lead alone, the dance becomes clumsy and strained. But when they trust each other, when they move in harmony, The dance flows with grace. Life works the same way. You are not here to fight against the universe. You are here to move with it. When you feel uncertain, place your hand over your heart and let it speak these words. I surrender to the sacred flow of life. I remember my cosmic origin. I trust the guidance of the unseen intelligence. Speak them softly but with conviction. These words are more than affirmations, they are keys. As you say them, notice how something inside you shifts. It's as if a door opens within, creating space for peace to enter. The tightness in your chest begins to loosen, and you realize you don't have to carry the weight of the world alone. From that space of trust, life stops feeling like a battle to be won. It becomes a dance, a collaboration between you and the divine intelligence that has been guiding you since the very beginning. You'll start to see signs everywhere, not as proof you need to chase, but as gentle reminders that you are supported, loved, and never truly alone. Every action you take, every word you speak, every breath you draw becomes sacred when it comes from this place of surrender. Even the smallest things, making a meal, holding someone's hand, sitting in silence, become offerings of light. Your presence begins to ripple outward, touching others, awakening them, and helping to raise the collective vibration of this planet. The beauty of this path is that nothing outside you has to change for the miracle to occur. The shift happens within, and when it does, you see that the miracle was never out there. It was never something to chase or earn. It has been living inside you all along, quietly waiting for you to remember. So take a deep breath and trust. Trust that you are exactly where you are meant to be. Trust that every experience, the joyful ones and the painful ones, has been preparing you for this moment. And trust that when you align with the flow of life, you don't have to force anything. You simply allow yourself to be carried, step by step, breath by breath, into the fullness of who you are. The world doesn't need you to be perfect. It needs you to be present, to live with an open heart, to embody the light you've always carried, and to walk this earth as both human and divine. When you do that, you don't just transform your own life, you become a living bridge for others to find their way home. The magic you've been seeking was never missing. It was never hidden in some distant star or unreachable dream. It has always been here, inside you, waiting for you to notice. And now, with surrender and absolute trust, you finally can.